We know that NVIDIA and Oracle are coming and joining your industry group at the moment, hoping that you'll help navigate a policy quandary that's upon us right now. Ultimately, they don't want the AI diffusion rule. Why is it a bad thing, Jason?
Well, it's a good concept, and the execution is enormously complex. As you noted, this was a rule that was adopted in the waning days of the Biden administration. And under normal circumstances, our communication to the Trump administration would be that Biden administration rules need to be rethought and redone, and this is one of those examples. The challenge here is that the concept of denying the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese army access to the latest generation of AI technology from American companies, well, that's a good idea. It's a national security issue, and we want to do it in the right way. But the Biden administration did it in the wrong way. They did it without consulting industry. They did it without coming up with a roadmap for success. And perhaps most importantly, they did it by punishing American allies around the world by denying them access to AI technology at the same time. So what we're asking the Trump administration to do, let's start over. Let's do this again. Let's consult with industry. Let's get this rule done in the right way.
Did they really not consult industry at all, or did they just consult the wrong people in industry from your perspective?
I know it's easy for industry to say we weren't consulted properly. In this case, it is honestly the case that they did not consult us at all. And this rule was released 7 days before the end of the Biden administration. They really wanted to rush it out the door. They'd been working on it a while. They ran out of time, and they did it without consulting industry. And the reason industry consultation is important is not just because we think we have good ideas. We do, but it's more important to make sure that the rule is done correctly so that American industry is not punished. And the most important goal of ensuring that America continues to dominate AI worldwide, which is a key tenet of the Trump administration, that's what we want to make sure happens when the rule is redone.
So let's think about a more perfected rule here. As you say, the ultimate goal of ensuring that very sophisticated chips doesn't get into China's hands, for example, you think is the right one. How do we get there without hurting the middlemen that are the wrong middlemen to hurt?
Yeah, I think there are two things here. One is the way in which the rule was put in place by the Biden administration. It actually imposes caps on every country in the world and their ability to get access to AI technology. 17 countries in the EU are in the so-called Tier 2. There are three tiers here. Tier 3 means anybody can get whatever they want. Tier 2 means there are restrictions. Tier 1, you can't get anything. Tier 2 for 17 countries in the EU means they're capped on their ability to buy AI technology from the U.S. Why? Not because we're worried about them, but because we're worried about enforcement mechanisms. So what the Trump administration can do is work and negotiate with our allies around the world to make sure those enforcement mechanisms are in place to deny the Chinese Communist Party access to this technology. That's the first thing I think is important. The second thing I think is important, and again, this is why industry consultation is important, is China is a market that is huge. It's 1.5 billion people. A lot of stuff is made there. A lot of stuff is sold there. If we deny China access to all American technology, the only message that delivers to China and frankly to other countries around the world is maybe China should make this technology because they're going to make it available without restriction to the rest of the world. So we want to make sure we don't ironically incentivize the Chinese technology industry to start making inroads and harm American interests around the world as a result.
Jason, has that horse already bolted? From what we see with DeepSeek, that was in the case of lack of access to sophisticated chips, they found a workaround.
Well, they did, and I think there are a lot of questions about DeepSeek and just how well it was put together, how functional it is, and whether it was programmed in part with American technology. And we'll see more about that going forward. But I think there's no question that U.S. technology isn't dominant and doesn't continue to be dominant. The real only open question is how long will that last? And if we deny American technology companies access to international markets and partners, that handicaps our ability to continue positioning the United States as the world leader in AI.
Jason, it's not just the AI diffusion rule that has many investors concerned. It's also just tariffs, more bluntly, coming in as a weapon. We've just seen what's being, I think we've just got some breaking news that I want to go to, that President Trump and indeed now the leader of Canada, Carney, have agreed to meet after Canada's election where Mark Carney is now the leader. So just a bit of breaking news there from the geopolitical front with Trump and Carney meeting, Jason. And this is to do with that very thing of tariffs. At the moment, we've seen how autos have been in the eye of the storm when it comes to Canadian tariffs, when it comes to Mexican tariffs. But we understand that semiconductors are going to be coming into place when we think of Liberation Day in early April. How much is that a fixation of the market?
Well, the president has suggested that semiconductors perhaps won't be subject to tariffs. And I think this raises the broader question of certainty for business. That's what business needs. It needs certainty. And we're only, what, 9 weeks into the Trump administration. A lot has happened. He's moving very quickly. And the tech industry is responding very favorably to the Trump administration's call, the president's call, to bring manufacturing back to America. The very first business announcement made in the White House, literally less than 24 hours after President Trump's inauguration, was 3 ITI member companies, SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI, announcing a $500 billion manufacturing project in the United States. We've seen TSMC announce another $100 billion investment, Apple $500 billion, even international companies, Siemens and Schneider Electric have announced multi-hundred million dollar investments just in the last few days. So it is happening. The tech industry, really more than any other industry, is responding to the president's call. But to your question about tariffs, I think it's really about certainty. Tariffs can be a tool, and we'd like to see the president continue to exercise his skill as a business negotiator, which he does very well, and strike deals. And trade deals in particular are important. Tariffs are a path to trade deals. The president, during his first administration, did a terrific job of entering into trade deals around the world with China, with Mexico, with Canada, with Japan, and others. We'd like to see those trade deal negotiations move forward and replace the need for tariffs so we can have that business certainty and access to U.S. markets and international markets that American companies need.